Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Eat Vegas, your guide to the good, the bad, and the delicious. We're so blessed to live in Las Vegas, where Clark County is rumored to have over 5,000 restaurants. With an incredible, bustling Chinatown, knowing where to go can be a bit daunting. Well, this is where we step in. We'll do the legwork so you can relax. If you're a fan of Chinese food, and even if you're not, stick around. You're in luck, because we're taking you to a little gem we discovered about a year ago. We were one of the first channels to review them, and since then, it seems as though everyone's talking about them. Nestled in a strip mall shopping center lies one of the best northern-style Chinese restaurants where they make everything they serve from scratch right before your very eyes. But more importantly, it's all delicious. Today, we're taking you to Noodle and Dumplings. It's a fun, upbeat setting where the energy inside bubbles forth. The moment you walk in, you know you're in for a treat. And the moment you leave, you're already making plans to return. Now, make sure to stay around to the end of the video, as Yoon has a special offer for our viewers. Okay, we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. You can practically taste these with your eyes, and a favorite of Chinese cuisine. A decadent scallion pancake that's light and flaky, with chopped green scallions. It's packed with flavor. I'm so proud to recommend this dish to you. It's a great version. The beef they use here is very high quality chuck that's braised and slathered with hoisin sauce, and then rolled with a pancake. Throw in some cucumbers and more scallions, and it creates a strong, craveable flavor you can't shake from your thoughts. Many places underseason this dish, making a bland version. Not so here. This is bold, complex, and wonderful. We moved on to these delicious homemade mung bean noodles. They're fresh, cold, but still alive with flavor. The noodles are a wider version than typical for this dish. They have just the right amount of glutinous chew, the signature characteristic of mung bean noodles. The homemade sauce combines sesame and peanut with a smattering of garlic. This dish is light yet complex in flavor, slightly sweet, but not overpoweringly so. There's so much depth of flavor in these. They have that rich umami taste you get from nuts. Topped with wheat gluten cakes, fresh bean sprouts, cilantro, and a cucumber, which together provide a great textural element and taste. They're pretty mild, with just a hint of chili that brings them to the next level. Of course, if you're like us and crave chili, they have some of the best homemade chili oil in the city. You're going to love this dish. This is one of my favorite Asian combo plates, and I always order it when I come here. It's one of my go-to dishes. It comes with a choice of any three of Yoon's pickled veggies. We chose cucumber salad, spicy beef, and their house special kimchi. Each one is bursting with flavor and just the right touch of heat. Now, before anyone gets in a twist about the term kimchi, let's clear the air with a little history. And if after that you're still upset, please direct all complaints to our chief nitpicking officer and newest employee, Charles Oliver Peanut. Northern Chinese kimchi isn't quite the same as the Korean version with which most folks are familiar. Korean kimchi is deeply fermented, often aged for weeks or even months. It's fiery and stridently potent. In contrast, the Northern Chinese take on kimchi is not fermented, but instead brined or marinated, giving it a cleaner, more refreshing bite. This version is a perfect example. Bright, tangy, with just enough chili to make your lips tingle without setting off any fire alarms. I'd say Yoon Noodle and Dumplings and Taiwan Deli both make some of the best versions in town. It's unexpectedly good, crunchy, tart, and totally addictive. Delicious, made-from-scratch wontons. Light and texturally perfect, encasing a well-seasoned pork and garlic filling. These are not for the faint of heart. They're pretty spicy and pack a mean punch of homemade chili oil. Little flavor bombs that practically explode in your mouth as you bite into them. They're topped with little julienne cucumber that provide a reprieve from the heat. I could eat 100 of these. But be warned, they're very addicting. You won't find anything from the freezer section at Yoon, as you will in many of your local dim sum houses. As I stated before, and it bears repeating, everything here is made by hand from scratch. The exteriors of these have the perfect combination of glutinous dough and seared pan-fried magic. The interior is bursting with huge, intense onion and porky goodness. So delectable, you really can eat them on their own, no sauce needed, unless of course you want to add a little more spice to the picture, which of course I do. Now where'd I put that wonderful house-made chili oil? This may be the best soup deal, or any deal, in all of Las Vegas. For just $19.99, you get a huge bowl, not only big enough to feed a small army, but to house them as well. I felt I should have invited some of my friends along to tackle this one. And did I mention how large this bowl is? Well, believe me, it's huge. The fun starts when you're handed a pair of latex gloves. I know, it isn't the way most fun begins, but bear with me. Then you're invited to grab as much beef as you can with your hands. Then that mountain of meat gets dropped straight into the steaming hot broth. And from there, the fun begins. The noodles, they were pulled just minutes before they hit your table. These are the real deal. Fresh, chewy, and long enough to stretch across a football field. Fortunately, they give you scissors, and I strongly advise you use them. As for the broth, it's liquid gold, made by simmering beef and bones for hours. It's deep, rich, and soul-warming. The daikon radish, cilantro, and green onion add a fresh lift, bringing everything into perfect balance. If you want a little extra kick, go ahead and add a splash of vinegar or some chili oil. But honestly, this broth doesn't need any help. It's already unbelievably good. This is more than a soup, it's an experience, and one that tastes even better than it sounds, and it sounds pretty darn good. Throw in the unbelievably low price of $19.99, and it's no wonder nearly every group has one of these parked at their table. Now, if only every viewer would subscribe to our channel. But, according to YouTube, 80% of you watching right now aren't subscribed. Shocking. Subscribing is free, helps us grow, and to bring you more reviews. And if you find value in our reviews, consider making a small donation using the link to buy me a coffee in the description area below. These handmade beauties are little packages of joy, each one stuffed with juicy, seasoned pork and piping hot broth. They arrive soft, delicate, dangerously delicious. Don't make the rookie mistake of biting into one. Just pop it in whole and let that savory explosion melt across your tongue. Use the dipping sauce, but proceed with caution. I once tried to show the inside on camera, and, well, let's just say my dry cleaner was a very happy man. That's why I always wear black. My mom used to joke, said I looked like I was in the mafia. Maybe that's why mobsters love these dark shirts, for splash protection. In all seriousness, though, these are fantastic. If you love soup dumplings, you're going to be just as hooked as we are. After the onion and pork dumplings we had a few minutes ago, we couldn't resist ordering these. Plain pork might sound simple, but to me, they're comfort food at its finest. Dumplings like these have been a staple in Chinese cuisine for over 1,000 years, especially in northern China, where they're often served during the Lunar New Year to bring prosperity. They've always been my favorite, probably because they remind me of my childhood. My mom used to make ravioli from scratch, Italy's dumpling cousin, and these take me right back. The pork filling here is out of this world. Juicy, well-seasoned, and full of umami. Honestly, they're so close to ravioli, I wouldn't be surprised if they tasted amazing with a little pesto. Hopefully someone listening to this is daring enough to give that a try. If so, please let me know how it goes. These lamb skewers are amazing. They taste even better than they look. If you've ever strolled through a night market in China or Thailand, you'll recognize this smell instantly. Cumin, chili, and grilled lamb wafting through the air like an edible love song. These skewers are the rock stars of street food, and their story goes way back. Lamb skewers are believed to have originated with the Uyghur people of northwest China. These were nomadic herders who relied on lamb as a protein staple. They seasoned it simply: cumin, chili, salt, and cooked over an open flame. Over centuries, the dish spread across China and became a street food legend. especially in night markets where the smoky scent pulls you in from blocks away. Well, back to you, Noodle and dumplings. These skewers are delicious, perfectly prepared and seasoned lamb, dusted in cumin and crushed Szechuan pepper. The lamb is wonderfully fatty and flavorful. If you love cumin, this is the dish for you. Don't even think about leaving Yoon without ordering 1 or 3. Your taste buds will thank you. We would be remiss to skip past the wonderful drinks here. If you're a fan of Asian-inspired drinks, Yoon is going to feel like paradise in a cup. Whether it's the creamy, dreamy taro milk or rich caramelized kick of brown sugar boba, these drinks are not just good, they're sensational. Get one, well, get them all, you won't regret it. This dish goes by many names: crispy salted chicken, Taiwanese fried chicken, or basil chicken. But whatever you call it, make sure you include the word delicious. While this version leans Northern Chinese in its seasoning and style, the original roots of this dish trace back to Taiwan. It first gained popularity in Taiwanese night markets in the 1970s, and then became a street food icon. Traditionally, it's made with bite-sized pieces of dark meat chicken marinated in soy sauce, garlic, and 5-spice. Then, dusted in sweet potato starch and deep fried to golden perfection. What sets it apart is the final toss in crispy basil leaves and often a pinch of white pepper and chili powder. This version puts a northern Chinese spin on it. The chicken is ultra juicy inside with a shatteringly crispy shell, seasoned with their aromatic house-made 5-spice blend that's a knockout. And if you want to kick it up into overdrive, reach for their homemade chili oil. Trust me, it's a marriage made in heaven. That combo of spice, crunch, and flavor, it's insanely good, and yet another absolute must-try at Yoon. Beef stew with potatoes. It's one of the newest dishes here since our last visit, and I couldn't wait to try it. Stew is one of the oldest recipes in human history. Just about every culture on Earth has its own version, whether it's Irish stew, Hungarian goulash, or French beef bourguignon. Our ancestors were slow-simmering meat and vegetables in pots long before cookbooks or cast iron existed. It's food born from necessity, stretching tough cuts of meat into something warm, tender, and deeply satisfying. You could almost say stew is encoded into our DNA. This version, done Northern Chinese style, is rich and deeply comforting. It features slowly braised chunks of beef chuck, tender potatoes, and a blend of onions and peppers. But what sets it apart is a whisper of cumin, a nod to regional Chinese flavors that add a little surprise with every bite. The meat is melt in your mouth tender, the broth is full of savory umami, and the warmth lingers like a good memory. If you grew up anywhere near a stew pot, this one will hit you right in the childhood. At Yoon, they use white meat chicken, and it's so pure and clean tasting. Perfectly fried, it's not at all greasy, and even though it's tossed in this wonderfully sweet chili sauce, it still manages to hang on to that addictingly, mind-numbingly good crunch. As many of you know, I have a chili addiction, so this dish is right up my alley. In fact, I always hit it with a little more of Yoon's magic chili oil for an extra kick. Now, for those of you wondering about the story behind this spicy, sweet classic, despite what the name might lead you to believe, General Tso probably never tasted this chicken. The dish was popularized in the 1970s by Chinese chefs in New York who claimed to have first served it in Taiwan before bringing it stateside. Inspired by Hunan flavors, it was reimagined for the American palate. Less heat, more sugar, and deep fried to crispy perfection. Today, it's one of the most iconic Chinese-American dishes around. And Yoon's version? Well, there's nothing so-so about this General Tso. It's easily one of the best in town. Oil-spilled noodles. The name might make you picture an ecological disaster, but rest assured, no wildlife was harmed in the making of these noodles. What was harmed, however, was my willpower, because I couldn't stop eating them. Despite being entirely plant-based, this dish delivers so much flavor that even my fellow meat lovers might accidentally forget there's no animal proteins to be found. Oil-spilled noodles have been around for centuries and were traditionally made by home cooks using hand-pulled noodles, scallions, garlic, and a splash of hot chili oil poured directly over the top, causing the aromatics to sizzle and bloom right before your eyes and nose. The dish is about texture and simplicity. The noodles are chewy and thick, and with the addition of even more chili oil, they become downright addictive. The real stars of this dish are the noodles and the oil. Both handmade, both exceptional. It's a collection of craftsmanship and flavor, humble yet profound. And if you ever doubted that a vegan dish could hit this hard or so deeply satisfy a meat lover, let this bowl change your mind. I always love these places where the noodles are hand-pulled. It's kind of like a culinary version of performance art. I can only imagine the number of years it took for the chef to learn this. And he has the plaque to prove his pedigree right on the wall. Yep, this gentleman, definitely a pro. Once you taste Yoon's hand-pulled noodles, you'll understand why I'm convinced they're the best in Las Vegas. If you're anything like me, you'll want to order them in as many ways as possible. And if you want to experience them in their purest, most unadorned form, this is the dish. These spring onion oil dry noodles are all about simplicity done right. The magic comes from crispy green onions fried in aromatic oil, soaks deep into every strand of noodle, turning the whole bowl into a savory, fragrant dream. A touch of bok choy adds a pop of freshness, and the chili oil on top is mellow, flavorful without blowing out your taste buds. If you're chili shy, fear not. This dish is about flavor, not fire. Sometimes less really is more, especially when the noodles are this good. I simply cannot come here without ordering this dish. As the kids say these days, it's fire. A modern spin on stir-fried beef, this plate packs a deep, rich umami punch with a bold sauce that clings to every tender bite. Red and green peppers add a vibrant crunch, but the real star is the beef, savory, juicy, full of flavor. All of that sits on a generous bed of their handmade noodles, chewy and perfect for soaking up every drop of that sauce. Each strand becomes coated in the glossy, garlicky, spicy sauce. It sticks to your taste buds like a good melody sticks in your head. They serve it in these adorable little cow's head dishes, and it's just as cute as it is delicious. This is one of the standout plates that's helping put Yoon on the map. I absolutely love it, and I think you will too. Well, if you're still with us after all that glorious noodle slurping, dumpling devouring, meat skewer munching madness, congratulations, you're officially one of us now. Yoon Noodle and Dumpling isn't just another restaurant in a strip mall. It's a full-blown flavor parade, marching through centuries of culinary tradition and slapping you with some of the most crave-worthy Chinese food in all of Las Vegas. They don't just cook here, they craft. From hand-pulled noodles with the bounce of a frenetic toddler to soup dumplings that burst with rich, savory flavors. Every dish is made with care, skill, and a clear love for what they do, and it shows. Whether you're consuming an ancient Uyghur-inspired lamb skewer, enjoying a northern Chinese take on a Taiwanese classic, or finding out that even a humble pickled potato can be a spiritual experience, Yoon delivers on all fronts. The history behind each dish isn't just trivia, it's part of the experience. These recipes weren't born in corporate kitchens, but on battlefields, marketplaces, and family homes across generations. That's what makes Yoon feel so alive. Las Vegas might be known for its neon lights and endless buffets, but this little Chinatown tributary proves that sometimes the most unforgettable meals come from a steamy bowl of broth or a dumpling that nearly burns your tongue off. And if you're anything like us, you'll already be planning your next visit before the check even hits the table. So the next time you're craving something real, something bold, handmade, spicy, chewy, crunchy, or just downright comforting, remember the name Yoon Noodle and Dumplings. One visit, and you'll understand why we can't stop talking about this place. We'll be back to Yoon Noodle and Dumpling very soon. Who knows, maybe you'll see us there. And don't forget to tell them, Let's Eat Vegas sent you. And finally, with a special offer we mentioned earlier, tell them Let's Eat Vegas sent you and get a free surprise appetizer. This would be a good time to hit the notifications bell so you get a reminder when the next review becomes available. And of course, it's always a good time to like, subscribe, comment, or share. It's free to do so, and it helps us to grow and to bring you more reviews. Until we eat again, bon appetit!